Wow, it's a huge change since last week. So here we are in our first weekend of November, and my teaching will be focused on you guys, the youth and junior youth. So I'll do my very best to not be boring, and you'll learn something practical that will help you with your faith. So last week I was in my basement and I was decluttering and cleaning up some empty boxes, and I stumbled upon a box which was my high school memories. And I found my junior high yearbook. And it was a pleasant, surprising find, and let me show you it. So here it is. This is my yearbook. From 1980 to 1981, I had attended D.A. Morrison Junior High School. And back then, these yearbooks, they were actually hand typed. Yes, typed on a typewriter using Courier font. Anyways, as I leafed through this yearbook, the first thing I needed to find was me. I needed to find my class photo to see what I looked like back in the day. And I also want to find out to see who I would remember from class of 81. And as I'm going through these pictures, it brings back so many fond memories of my junior high years. And surprisingly, I found myself remembering pretty much everyone in my class. So do you see me? Did you find me? Well, if you didn't, I'm that little guy standing beside my music teacher. So as I was leafing through memory lane, I came upon something quite shocking. I saw my name beside a poem. Yes, a poem. And it shocked me because I hated writing, and English was my least favorite subject. So to see my name beside this poem was beyond me. And the title of my poem was Alone. Let me show you what I wrote. When there's not a single soul to turn to, isolated from society, when parents utter loudly like wild lions, when no one's on my side and everyone is against me, I'm alone. The more I thought, the more I wept. I tried to set apart all sounds from my mind. It seemed as if the whole world was dead, never existed. As I gazed out of a window from the darkness, the moon shone brightly, but the angered wind violently shook the trees as if they were twigs. The freshly fallen snow no longer danced in the frosty air, but was a fierce whirling tornado. The great strength of the wind caused the house to tremble. The sight of the storm chilled my heart. Soon the wind had died, anger was no more, and peace was again. Life is the greatest when I'm alone. You know, I have absolutely no memory, no recollection to have ever written this, but I know this was me. When I was 13, I remember having these feelings and thoughts, and I could still see my poor spelling continues today. In hindsight, I think it was well written. It has a lot of vivid metaphors. So what do you think? What do you think of this poem that I wrote? Do you ever feel like this? Have you ever wanted to just get away, to be alone by yourself? I can picture myself in my bedroom and staring out of my window. And this was my little escape. I don't think it was a great thing to be alone, but it was better than having to deal with all that stuff and negativity that was going around me. Well, we all go through times of loneliness, and I'm sure that many of you have felt more lonely in this pandemic. And I know I have, and my family has too. And we feel stuck. We can't do the things that we usually do. We can't see our friends and family, and it makes us feel alone. I know you guys have your Discord friends. Maybe you have a bunch of people that you follow, and maybe you have your gaming buddies. But in reality, you cannot replace real human interaction. And as I think back to my poem, I remember these teenage years well. It was a bit rough for me during those times, and these words pretty much describe how I felt at the time. And in hindsight, I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that my guidance counselor didn't summons me to have a meeting with them. Anyways, I was introverted, I was shy, I was reserved, and I kept pretty much all my feelings bottled up inside of me. And there were a lot of kids in the school, lots of clubs, but I never connected with any social clubs or even the sports teams. And in my class, we had about 32 students, but I had a small group of friends, but I still felt alone. I didn't feel that people really understood who I was. And then growing up in my home, my parents, they were great, but we didn't have many conversations about my aspirations, about life, or how I was feeling. And when they got upset and scolded me, I just needed to escape, to go to my quiet space. And in these alone times, they weren't that bad. And sometimes these alone places can be a good thing if they're a place where you feel safe, away from harm. So today we're going to look at this topic, but I want to reassure and remind you that even though you have these periods of loneliness, we never go through life alone. Even when you feel isolated, remember this: you have a circle. You have circles of support all around you. You're surrounded by people who love you and care for you. You have your family who walks beside you all the time. And of course, you have a loving God who is gracious and gives you strength. And finally, you have the extended family. You have us. You have me. I have you. And we have each other, the church family. And as a family, we do what families do. We help each other. We pray for each other. We support each other through these hard times. So today my topic is very simple. Here's my main idea. Throughout life, God provides faithful friends to walk with you. They will come alongside of you to offer their support, their wisdom, and their guidance. So that's it. So loneliness, is it always a bad thing? Is it something that you choose, or is it something that comes to you? I'm going to show you a bunch of quotes, and after we read them, you tell me what you think. I'll pause at each one so you can think about it and see if it's true for you. First one: the hardest walk is walking alone, but it's also the walk that makes you the strongest. True or not? I think it's mostly true for me. I know when I've been alone, I've learned to be independent. I've learned to reach down inside and to tap into those deep reserves where I draw faith from God. How about this one? It's better to walk alone than with a crowd going in the wrong direction. Now this one, it seems like common sense. No one wants to end up in the wrong place, but you know what the hardest thing is? The hardest thing is to know whether your crowd is going in the right direction or not. How about this? Be willing to walk alone. Many who started with you won't finish with you. And this is true, and it feels a little bit sad. You know, all the friends I've had in grade 8, sadly, none of them are in my circle anymore. And even on Facebook, in the entire school of D.A. Morrison, there's just one casual friend that I interact with a little bit. Happily, though we must each walk through life on our own, we don't have to do it alone. Yes. And yes, we don't have to walk through life alone. And this will be one of our key learnings today. How about this? There are times when we inevitably have to walk alone, but it's okay. We will always meet new friends. Yes. This too is something that we will learn and remind ourselves of. God will bring different people at different stages of our life to guide us, to nurture us. I think it's very healthy to spend time alone. You need to know how to be alone and not be defined by another person. Okay, so purposely being away from people can actually be the most healthy thing you can do for yourself. You need to leave the nest to be able to learn to fly. And it's unhealthy to be overly clingy. You know, if you're clingy or if someone clings to you, neither of you can grow. So we need to have our independence to learn and discover our full potential. Sometimes I feel like I just want to be alone. But what I actually want is someone to just hold me and tell me everything will be okay. Yes, loneliness here is when we silently wish and hope to have a friend to encourage us, to reassure us that life will be okay. Last one. A child shouldn't be left to walk through life alone. Okay, what do you think? I like all of these quotes. I think they all contain truth because they come from real lived out experiences. Now, do any of these quotes really hit home for you? Do some of them really resonate with you? The one that resonated with me was actually the last one. A child shouldn't be left to walk through life alone. And this stuck out for me because I find it heartbreaking if a child has to begin life and to start life all by herself. No one to care for them. Children are just starting out in life and they need all the help and support that they can get. But as you mature, as you get older, you begin to learn life lessons. You begin to build up resources and network and your circle of people to help you through life. But when you're young, when you're a child, you need leadership, you need guidance, you need protection. I can't imagine having to start out life all by myself. So this is why it's important to draw upon the support that God has provided to you. So let's look at our passage from Ecclesiastes 4. 2 are better than 1 because they have good return for their work. And if one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls down and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Now, if we can take advice from anyone, let's take it from Solomon. God had given him and granted him wisdom far beyond the average person. Now, by no means was Solomon perfect, but if we follow his God-given advice, it can save you and me a lot of hardships and heartaches. He says this, 2 are better than 1 because they have good return for their labor. Okay, first thing, can you tell me why lockdowns and quarantines and social restrictions, how come they're so unwelcomed? Why are they so unnatural? Why don't we like them? Well, because it goes against our nature. We are social beings. We want to be with each other. We gravitate and we want to be with other humans because that's how God created you and me. Solomon says 2 are better than 1 because they have good return for their labor. And this is not an absolute saying, but the general observation is that when 2 people come together, things work out much better when you work in unison. Think about when Jesus sent out his disciples to teach and heal and to serve. Remember how Jesus did it? Did he send this giant mob? Did he send this army of disciples to descend upon every town and city? No, far from it. He sent them 2 by 2. He spread them out so that each one would be able to have a companion to do the work of God. So our God is a relational God. He made us to be part of a family and to be part of this society. And you and I, we're not meant to do things alone. We need each other to grow and to thrive. And Solomon is so practical here, and he gives very common sense advice. Verse 10, if one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls down and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm by myself and it's kind of cold. So think about if you want to go for a long hike. Is it okay to go by yourself? Sure, it's fine. But would it be better if you had a buddy? Of course, for companionship and for support and just in case you get into some trouble. One of my good friends, she almost died. She almost died on a hiking trip up in Killarney in Northern Ontario. And it wasn't a fall. She wasn't swept away by a river. She got stung by a bee. Yeah, she got stung by a bee, but she didn't know she was allergic to bees. Now, if it weren't for hiking companions and hikers who happened to be carrying an EpiPen, she would have been in huge trouble. Life is much better when we invite people to be our companions. And for a Christian, this is vital. It is vital for our faith formation and growth. We need each other. And of course, as individuals, God has given us specific tasks and responsibilities. But together, we are the body of Christ, the larger body with all different members, each having its unique part to play. Let's go back to that saying that struck me. Children shouldn't be left to walk through life alone. And here I want to make things as practical as I can for you guys. I want to talk to the preteens and the teens here. We have not really connected with many of you guys, and we know that you are here with us. You're still part of us. And as parents, it's been hard for us to connect with you guys and to connect you guys with the other teens. And in the past, I kind of described the teenagers in our church like free-range chickens. Free-range chickens. They have no boundaries, no fences, no cages. They don't follow anyone. They just kind of come and go as they please. So what do we do with free-ranging teenagers? How do we disciple them? How do we influence them to grow? I think there are a lot of things that we can do. If you remember, I had presented to you this question. Here was the question. What is the single most important thing that will help teens connect at church and to grow in faith? What do you think that is? The single most important. And if you remember, I gave you a bunch of options, and here they are. Is it a youth pastor, a youth fellowship, parents' example, mission trips, serving at church, praying more, Christian school, caring adult mentors, studying the Bible, cut their internet? What do you think? Which one's the single most important one that will help them? I think all of them will help to a certain degree, especially cutting their internet. But again, the single most important one is you. It's me, the parents. By a far margin, the parents are the most influential pastors to their teens. And experts keep on telling us this. They tell us that 70% of teens who stay connected with the church is because they see their parents. They see them honestly living out their faith. Probably not perfectly, but honestly and faithfully. And in their homes, they hear them talk naturally about integrating faith and living it out in an authentic way. But there's a second most important thing that will help teens connect. You know who that is? Outside the parents? Outside of the parents, there is nothing more important than other adults. They need other adults to engage them. In other words, mentors. So this is the church's mandate. God uses you and me to disciple them. And because there are lessons in life, in church and community that can only be learned within a group. So they need us as mentors. And our teens need godly people who they can see and respect and learn from. And some of you remember that we started this initiative way back in February, and then COVID came. But now we want to pick this back up again. And some of you are doing great already. We have great mentors, Andy and Stephen and Kim and Jason. And a mentor is basically committed to two things. They're committed to many things. Let me show you. So here is a chart and a diagram. You can see they're coaching, they give you advice, they want to help you to grow. But a mentor is basically committed to two things, if I can summarize. They are someone who helps you to navigate through life to reach your goals. And secondly, they help you to be the man and woman God intends you to be. Two basic things. Okay, so what are we going to do and how is this going to take shape? Well, we do have a team of adult mentors ready. Yes, they are lined up. We have a dream team ready to go. They're from all three congregations. And I want to thank all of you who've put yourself out there and to give your time and energy. You're an amazing group with so much to give. You know, when I was 13, I wish I had this kind of circle of support. And this is a really important circle that we want to offer and for you to have. And for sure, we're more limited in what we can do now, but we will do what God allows us to do. So our team, they're ready to go, but they can't start just yet. They can't start until they hear from you, our teenagers. Actually, this initiative will start, and it requires both the support of the family and the teens, the family. So you have to say yes to the mentors. So what's it going to look like? Well, we're going to present to you the full list of mentors, and then you, the teen, we want you to look at each of them and pray. Pray and talk to your family and to see if you think this is an important circle to have. And if you think it's interesting, if you think it's going to be helpful, then the next step is you fill out a questionnaire. It's a simple, easy questionnaire that'll help us to get to know a little bit about you. And then from the team of mentors, you choose them. Choose up to 3 mentors who you think you could mesh with. And then you write their names in the questionnaire. And then from those 3 choices, our team will be praying for you, we'll study your questionnaire, and we'll work out a match. So again, here are the 3 basic steps. Number 1, pray with your family. Number 2, on the questionnaire, choose 3 mentors. And then third, wait for your mentor to connect with you. So we'll give this a few weeks so that we can allow this to be promoted to everyone. And then give it some time, and then your mentor will connect with you once we receive your questionnaire. And then this new relationship begins. They're kind of like a new friend. And at the beginning, it takes time. It'll take some time to get to know each other. But remember, they are there for you, to support you. They'll be kind of like a big brother or a big sister. You can ask them questions. You can ask them for advice. If you feel stuck, if you feel that, you've run into a hard situation, they're there. They're just a text message away. One thing for sure, they'll always be praying for you. So these connections will probably start off on Discord or Zoom or something like that. But as things open up, we'll plan activities and we'll do things like meetups. So you want to see the mentors? You want to see this dream team? Okay, I'll show them to you at the end. So there will be times when life will be hard and you'll feel alone. You might have a rough patch with your family, or you might feel kind of stuck and you're confused. And life is never meant to be done alone. God has these amazing people, and if you open up your circle to them, they will help you to grow, to flourish, and to discover God's potential in your life. So as parents, help us. Help us to promote this. And if they miss this broadcast, that's okay. Just kind of summarize it for them, but show them the bios, which we'll send it to you on a different file. So pray for them, encourage them, and let them think about it. So may God be with us and guide us through this time. Amen.